I've been a UX practitioner and leader for over 2 decades now. A lot has changed in the last 2 decades, but one thing that continues to be a reality for UX teams then and now is that it feels like we're constantly pushing a needle uphill within our organizations and also because of various reasons. And it's frustrating. But here's the story that may change how you think about it. This is a quick encapsulation of almost a year-long journey of the then failing product called Acquia Lift. When I think of this story, I think about a boxing match, a multiple round duel between UX and organizational resistance. Before I describe this duel, though, I want to give you some context. Acquia is a software as a service company, and it is co-founded by Dries Beithart, the father of the open source web content management platform Drupal. This company provides enterprise products and services built on Drupal. So it's mostly developer tools by Drupal and for Drupal. Acquia Lift, however, was the first product or service that was offered to marketers, and it's a content and commerce personalization, e-commerce personalization tool. And it was built as a clever adaptation of the Drupal platform so that it could open it up to the marketers. However, year one of launching Acquia Lift was a disaster because marketers were nowhere as technical to deal with the quirks of the Drupal platform. From the UX side, Acquia hired me to own the UX for this entirely new product line and turn things around. At the beginning, I just had one researcher aside from me, but hey, new product, no legacy constraints, and an investment in UX early. What else could a designer ask for? So with this, I want to get on to describing the round one of this duel. So enter UX, excited and wanting to learn the problem holistically and come up with recommendations. On the other hand, the product manager delivered a strong directive. Make an uncredible experience credible. Yep, that was it. He wanted us to model one of the main task flows in the product after a couple of our competitors so that, we were not constantly losing to them. Nothing more, nothing less. So no other engagement. So this was an early and mighty blow to our UX zeal. But with the realization that this was going to be a long duel, UX submitted and delivered exactly what we were asked for. Round one of design versus resistance, clearly resistance won. On to round two. The design recommendations made the demos look really good, and we added about 11 new logos, but customers struggled with install and onboarding. So renewals were at risk. So UX was not given access to customers due to sensitivity reasons, but crafty UX learned a ton simply by having hallway conversations at a customer conference. Unfortunately, the learnings were concerning. It seemed like it would take much more than usability fixes to get the product back on track. The product manager, on the other hand, came up with an opposite strategy. He wanted to find a way to communicate product value that justifies why Lyft was more complex than some of the other competitors. But the mounting risk of Lyft failing over and over again put all the teams, including UX, on a reporting progress schedule with quarterly business reviews. So suddenly I would call round two a draw because UX now had a voice of its own to do some of the reporting. So this round, let's call it a draw. Round three. UX continued to work on product with a focus on users, of course, with that perspective. And product and engineering began to get really frustrated with the UX focus on users over Drupal. So UX realized at this point that we're not all playing to the same rules, and so we called for a timeout, right? And to regroup and align on the ground rules. So we conducted a 2-day on-site workshop with all the stakeholders, and we used a technique called reality mapping to sort of like lead us through the discussion. And this was from our design toolbox. This workshop was wildly successful. For the first time, we shared an end-to-end vision for the product, a plan for the research as well, and a set of themes for the product roadmap. Round three, win-win. Not much of a dirty match anymore. Still, there were some more rounds to go, so let's go on to round four. The opponents had changed somehow, I think, in this round. It was not UX versus organizational resistance anymore. It was much more of a strategic battle at this point. Customer first or Drupal first? Product leadership or executive leadership? Right. So in this round, the newly aligned product leadership team continued to show through quarterly results that our efforts to improve the product and perceptions were not enough to increase lift adoption and revenue. Unfortunately, Drupal was not for everyone. This was not at all what Dries or the executive leadership wanted to hear, and they were willing to shut down the project if Drupal was threatened in any way. So, round four, executives win. Last but not least, round five, the product leadership team now worked on bringing in a layer of abstraction over Drupal so that we could still leverage the power of Drupal but had much more freedom to model the end user experience to fit user expectations. So suddenly now, finally, round five, win, win, win. So this is a story of how design thinking not just enabled us, the UX team, but the product and the business as well. This is a story of persistence and perseverance. It reminds you of why you need to believe in your value that you bring to the table, but sometimes crawl and walk before you run. This is a good reminder for all of us designers with the eye on the North Star that it is not all or nothing.